ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 तत्प्रत्ययाः किन्नु विहाय सन्तम् हृद्येशचिन्तारहितो हृदाख्यः कथं स्मरामस्तममेयमेकम् तस्य स्मृतिस्तत्र दृढैव निष्ठा मृत्युञ्जयं मृत्युभियाश्रितानाम् अहं मतिर्मृत्युमुपैति पूर्वम् अथ स्वभावादमृतेषु तेषु कथं पुनर्मृत्युधियोऽवकाशः सर्वैर्निदानं जगतोऽहमश्च वाच्यः प्रभुः कश्चिदपारशक्तिः चित्रेऽत्र च विलोकिता च पटः प्रकाशोऽप्यभवत् स एकः आरभ्यते जीवजगत्परात्म तत्त्वाभिधानेन मतं समस्तम् इदं यावदहं मतिः स्यात् सर्वोत्तमाहं मतिशून्यनिष्ठा सत्यं मृषा वाचिदिदं जडं वा दुःखं सुखं वेति मुधा विवादः अदृष्टलोकानिरहं प्रतीतिः निष्ठा विकल्पा परमाखिलेष्टा स्वरूपबुद्धिर्जगतीश्वरे च स्वरूपधीरात्मनि यावदस्ति अरूप आत्मा यदि कः प्रपश्येत् सा दृष्टिरेका नवधिर्हि पूर्णा. The talk of the ahankara in the Saddarshanam is not, cannot be really translated as ego. It is more of a misplaced sense of individuality, that I am separate from everything else. It's a sense of individuality based on some kind of an alienation, separateness, a disconnectedness from the whole, and a feeling that this alone is what I am. This notion that I am like a kite that has whose string has been cut, adrift, flying. That is this idea, Ramana Maharshi's idea of ahankar, and it is all based on subjectivity. And what is subjectivity based on? Subjectivity is based on Atma Ajnanam, self ignorance. And this is basically what this is how the word ahankara is used. And here sarupadhihi atmani yavad asti, until which time there is an idea, notion, belief. And what is the idea, notion, or belief? That I am with form. Of course, I have a form. I have hands, I have legs, I have face, I have eyes, I have so many body parts. And so, therefore, what does that make me? It makes me having a form. How do you know you have a form? I stand in front of the mirror. And then I know I'm different from other forms. I'm not pot. I'm not hat, cat, rat, mat. I'm not another person. So therefore, I am as good. Not only do I have form, Sarupa means Rupena Saha Vartate. It's a very innocent compound. Means it is with form. Here it's not just with form. It's fine to say the Atma here, in my case, is expressing with the form of the body, mind, sense complex. But here, with form means what? With form means here I am completely addicted to that form. I cannot see myself as separate from that form at all. I'm not able to see myself as out of that form. So I'm addicted to that form. That is because of Atma Ajnanam, the individual who already feels insecure because of feeling cut off from Ishvara, cut off from the Jagat, cut off from other beings. Because of Atma Ajnanam, ends up clinging to whatever it can objectify as itself. This is what is happening. So what? Well, it's a very big price to pay. So what means what? So yavad asti, until which time this disconnectedness is there, which makes me cling to my form, to the form that is God given, and to the form that in which I have been born. The more I cling to it, what happens? The more the more I see everything else as separate from one and another and other. The world appears truncated. The world appears completely discrete, made up of discrete objects. And each object is scarier than the last, is more dangerous than the previous one. Why? Because they're all out to get me. Why are they out to get you? Because I'm separate from all of them. And so Ishvara becomes extremely scary. Therefore, they say, oh, we have to do Rudra Abhisheka, because Rudra is, otherwise we'll get angry. Did Rudra write you an email and say, I'll get angry if you don't visit me? How do you know? Or was it some tea time conversation, and over tea time it was mentioned? Did he come and mention? And then there is all these things about goddess temples. There is all these things, especially in Orthodox India. They'll say, oh, goddess temple we should never have. Why should we not have? No, no, the goddess is prone to anger and she gets angry very easily. She's not some kind of a banshee, okay? This seems a clear classic case of projection, patriarchal projection, actually. So goddess is difficult to look after. And then, okay, don't look after her. No, no, no. Only men can enter goddess temples. This is also something very strange. Never really heard of it. But this is all, this is all Sarupa Buddhihi Jagati and Ishvarecha. Jagati means with reference to the Jagat. Ishvare, in Ishvara also. So they don't see the goddess as Bhagavan, Bhagavati. What do they see it? They see her as a woman, whimsical and given to hysterics. This is what it is. And there is such a thing called Devi Prakopa. The goddess will get angry and then she'll unleash floods and all kinds of things. And so this is all one's own subjectivity being projected onto the form of Bhagavan, various forms of Bhagavan. Then there is, all other mad ideas about Ishvara, which defines one's own relationship to Bhagavan. Like what kinds of mad ideas? Well, the thing is, you have to give back something in return. It's like an exchange. You make my dreams come true, and I will buy you a new set of clothes. This is what happens in India. buy you a new set of clothes. That's what the Lord was wanting from you, a new set of clothes. He was waiting. And so this is what it is like. And so this is all because of one's own subjectivity. One anthropomorphizes Ishvara from the standpoint of one's own subjectivity. Anthropomorphizes means just like I have form, I have emotions, I have fears, I have tears, I put the same thing onto God. That's why one goes to the temple and say, "Oh, the Lord is looking a little sad today." This is just a projection. Lord is looking kind of sad. Oh, today he is very happy or she is very happy. She dropped a flower. So that means she's very happy. Didn't drop a flower. Very sad. And then even when the flower drops, I mean, that itself is a miraculous thing. It's so nice to just be there and watch the flower drop. That which was being held by gravity up till that particular moment suddenly drops. It's wonderful. And instead of seeing the magic of it, there is all these, what is that, prophecies regarding to the flower falling. If it falls in the front, your wish will come true. If it falls in the back, it's like your wish will not come true. All these things. And so now, instead of just being in this marvel of just visiting a temple and allowing some kind of a sanctity and tranquility there to envelop oneself, one is now calculating where the flower fell. Can I see it? Where did it go? Whether it fell in front or what? It takes away the spontaneity. And so therefore, this is exactly how that anthropomorphization of Bhagavan, and that's how we have so many forms. Chandikeshwara. There is one Chandikeshwara who is apparently hard of hearing. So when you go into Chandikeshwara temple, you have to make loud noises. You have to clap and you have to hit the doorway of the temple. And then, Shambhavi is staring at me in disbelief. I do make up a few things, but I'm not making this up. It's truly there. Yeah, right down the street, at the end of the street, there is a small Chandi shrine, the Chandikeshwara shrine. You can go and see. Just watch, see how people greet this. They make a lot of noise because Chandikeshwara apparently is very hard of hearing. Who said? Did he tell you in American Sign Language, I'm deaf? No, it's just one's own projections. One's own project. And it's wonderful. There's nothing wrong in it. But the thing is, it's wonderful because we have this freedom of Ishta Devata. This is just wonderful. And this Ishta Devata means that, you can, since everything is Bhagavan, you have the freedom to conceptualize this Bhagavan in any form, in any fashion that you want. Because everything is Bhagavan. This is wonderful. The freedom is wonderful. And what is this concept? And therefore, you can have a favorite form of Bhagavan that you relate to. And this is called Ishta Devata. And this is wonderful because it helps one in allowing one to cultivate a form of devotion, a deep devotion, and become a bhakta. Allows one to become a bhakta. Without bhakti, there is no mukti. You can kiss moksha goodbye. And so, therefore, this is very nice. The concept of Ishtadevata is very, very nice. But then, what happens? One has to grow up slowly. And Ishtadevata is wonderful, Ishtadevata is fine, but you look beyond that. Look beyond that. Beyond that means what? You first see that this Ishtadevata is not separate from you. You cultivate Ananya Bhakti, a bhakti that is, that is with the understanding or with the desire to know that you are non-separate from that which you invoke, from that which you worship. To a certain extent, in the puja itself, these things are taken care of. Why? When you offer the flower, you touch it to the heart, you touch it to the head, and then offer it. This is a way of cultivating non-separate bhakti. From my heart to yours, it's the same heart, it's the same mind, it's one mind, one heart. Mama chittam tava chittam anuchittam bhavatu. Very beautiful. Yeah. This is what the bhakta says. This is what the shishya says to the guru. This is what the bhakta says to the Lord. This is what married couples say to one another during the marriage ceremony. What does this mean? May my mind and heart be one with yours. May I not have a separate agenda from you, O Lord, O Goddess. May I not have a separate agenda from you at all. And this is there in other religions also. How is that put? Make me your instrument. This is exactly what it is. Make me your instrument. Because otherwise, what is Jiva? The one that has a parallel reality is Jiva. That is what the Ahankara is. The one that projects a parallel reality because of one's own subjectivity, that is the Jiva. And so this Jiva is the one that is feeling alienated, wanting to show off, wanting to become something or the other, become famous, become important, have a high position. And then what? Sick of all these becomings, the person then became a Swami. Okay, oh, thank God. But then did it stop? No. Didn't stop. Why? Because now the Swami wants to have a bigger following, a bigger ashram, more people. It's a pressure. And all these pressures are there because that I sense is confined to a particular form. And when the I sense is confined to a particular form, then that I sense perceives the whole world as confined to finite forms, and Ishvara becomes one more form, one more name, one more thing to take care of, and one more thing to be frightened of. Both those things are equally valid. One more thing to be frightened of. And so this is why whether it's nice if you know all this, it's very, very nice to do a temple tour of India, where they have various different customs based on certain idiosyncrasies of Bhagavan, which are attributed to Bhagavan in a particular temple. So they say, for example, oh, I don't have this. What is that called? In this temple, what is that? There is one in Rajasthan. There is a temple full of mice, and then in this temple, the mice are worshipped. The mice are worshipful, and that is who we have to worship. And so, like this, and then in some other temples, they say, oh, you have to go to the back door first. You have to go to the back door first and then come to the front door. Now, why do you have to do that? There'll be some legend. There'll be a legend, 500-year-old legend. There is one Krishna temple also like this. You have to see from the back door first. Why? Because Krishna turned around. The whole idol apparently turned around because a street sweeper was not allowed in the temple. And he just went to the back and cried. And he said, what have I done wrong? Why can't I have darshan of you? He was a small window. He could just see the Lord's back. And the Lord turned around and said, hello. And so apparently that is what happened. And so now everybody goes through the back and sees the Lord and then comes out through the front. So like this, if you know this, if you know these whimsical customs, these very nice customs steeped in stories, steeped in so much history, steeped in culture, steeped in the fervency of devotion of people. This is all very nice if we know the truth of the I and the Lord and the Jagat being one. Then you can enjoy it. Then you can enjoy an angry Bhagavan, not happy Bhagavan. And then you can enjoy a Bhagavan that cannot hear very well. No problem. Then you can enjoy some other form. So many forms are there. So many temples are there. Each temple will have its own story. Each temple will have its own culture. It's all to increase the bhakti. This is just wonderful. But then there is a time that comes when it is nice to allow oneself to outgrow this kind of a connection. It's like a child catches a hold of the mummy's clothes and wants to just be around the mother. Otherwise, it's separation anxiety. Has to have the mother around, has to have the father around. And then after a little while, doesn't even know mother exists. It's busy in play. What mother? Mother, what mother? Oh, yeah, she's there, fine. No problem. So, like that, this is the spiritual growth is accomplished when you start looking at the I differently. Then what happens is that the I that is ascribed to Ishvara also starts to shine differently. And the being that you ascribe to the Jagat also starts to shine differently. The whole thing is just centered on the I. If everything is okay here, then everything is okay everywhere else. It's like somebody wrote this book, I am okay, you are okay. There is some truth to it. Yeah, in a way, it is Vedanta. If you are okay, because all that is there is you. If you are okay, everything else is really okay. And if you are not okay, no matter how okay everything else is, it will never be okay. Because you are going to relate to that, whatever it is, because from the subjective vision of discontent, demanding nature, discontent, judgment, non appreciation, anger, fear, insecurity. This is how, if all those are here, then they are going to be powerfully projected outside as well. And so the various forms of Bhagavan are to enjoy and to know that ultimately the reality that you seek is formless. It transcends the form of Bhagavan, it transcends your own form, and it transcends the form of the Jagat. All that is there is a knowing being that is free of form, name, and time and space. That is where we can help ourselves by refining bhakti. In the beginning, okay, you form an attachment to a particular name and form of the Lord. And that's why, there is a age-old, what is that called? Kind of a conflict between those who profess themselves to be worshippers of Shiva and those who are worshippers of Vishnu. There's not there's not much in common with the two of them, and so there are so many stories like this. And one of the stories goes that this man who was a strict Vishnu bhakta was offering sun salutations and sun worship standing in the river. And then when he went to cup the water in his hands, he found something. And it was a wonderful Murti of Lord Vishnu, Mahavishnu. And he cried. He just said, "Oh my God, it's just so wonderful. I must have done something good. That's why you have given me this. How could how could you favor me like this? I'm so happy." And it was perfect. Shankha in one hand, chakra in the other. All the insignia was perfect. Everything was perfect. Emerged out of a river, a wonderful Murti of the Lord Vishnu. And of course, being a art connoisseur, he turned it over to see what the back of Bhagavan looks like. And to his utter shock and dismay, it was Lord Shiva carved in the back. Lord Shiva carved in the back, and the Shankha, the conch shell that Vishnu was holding in the front, turned into a mala in the back. And then the chakra, the wheel insignia that the Lord Vishnu was holding in the front, turned out to be Lord Shiva's begging bowl in the back. It was so cleverly carved. And he said, "Where did you come from?" And he had half a mind to throw the murti in the river and go home. He said, "I don't want it at all." But then again he turned it over and looked at Lord Vishnu with his serene smile. And he said, "No, no, 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 I have to take this home. I have to worship it." Then he had an idea. He said, "We'll keep that other fellow to the wall. No, I don't have to look at him. I can just look at my Vishnu. My Vishnu I can look at, and then I can just be happy. I don't have to look at that other fellow, won't even name him. I don't want to, it's not him." And so then, he uh, talked to his wife. He says, "Look, who came here? Vishnu has come, but then this other detail is here in the back, boring fellow. Don't look at him, and we'll do sthapana. We will, put him on the pedestal and install him today itself ritually. Make some sweets and bring some incense, bring some flowers." All the children gathered, the wife gathered, everybody was there, and everybody was doing puja. And then he took the incense stick, lit the incense stick. And then, as you know, Dashangam Guggulam Dhupam, he started to chant. Then he said, "Wait a minute, this is a very nice incense stick. That other fellow will also be enjoying." No, 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 no. He stopped the puja, snuffed out the incense stick, got two balls of cotton and pushed it in the nostrils of Lord Shiva facing the back. "Not for you." And then, then came time for the bell. Ding, 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 ding. And he said, "No, not for you." Then the balls of cotton were right there. He stuffed two more in Lord Shiva's side of the ears. You don't listen to me. No, not for you." And then, then all this, his wife had cooked a wonderful meal. And it was just a sight to see all different colors, all different fantastic dishes in a huge plate. And then he said, "Okay, okay, okay, wait, wait, wait." And he whipped out his handkerchief and then he tied the eyes of Lord Shiva, because "I don't want you to see this wonderful Naivedya. What if you eat it?" No, because if you don't see it, you won't eat it. And then he went and worshipped Lord Vishnu. Pranaya Swaha, Panaya Swaha, Vyanaya Swaha, Udanaya Swaha, Samanaya Swaha, Brahmane Swaha. And then, the last step was Namaskara. And in each step, he kept saying, "This is for Lord Vishnu, not for Shiva. This is for my Lord, not for the other one. This is for my Lord, not for Shiva." Then he did Namaskara. Then he got up, and Lord Shiva was standing in front of him. He said, "What? What?" And of course, he was awed. He did Namaskara to him. After all, it is Bhagavan. He was very much in awe. He said, "But I did so much effort to not bring you into the picture." And Lord Shiva said, "What can I do?" your your belief in me was greater than the belief in him, because each time you offered, it said it is not for you, not for you, because you were convinced I was alive. You were convinced I was enjoying the incense sticks. You were convinced that I was enjoying the alankara. You were convinced that I was enjoying the bells and the whistles and the whole worship. So this is so silly. That statue is called Hari Hara. Hari on one side, Hara on the other. Shiva Vishnu statue. So like this, there is all these kinds of things. And then, this makes no sense at all. This makes no sense, and it's all subjective. Whatever you say about Ishvara with a particular form is subjective. Obviously, it's subjective. Oh, but it's not my subjectivity. Doesn't matter. It's a collective subjectivity in which you are happily participating right now. You are buying into this subjectivity. You are what should I say, passing it on. You are participating in it. You are passing it on. You're doing everything. So therefore, what? So therefore, this sarupa buddhi yavad atmani asti, as long as this sarupa buddhi, meaning I have form, I am formed, this is my form, is there, then that is a big deterrent to seeing the world as it is, to seeing Bhagavan as Bhagavan is. What is as Bhagavan is? Bhagavan is non-separate from you. That is what Bhagavan is. And so here, this is a very nice verse, a gentle incentive to graduate from, what is that called? So from thinking of Bhagavan as only with form, thinking of Bhagavan as form, with form. And that's why this thing happens. I like Shiva, I don't like Vishnu, I love Vishnu, I don't like Shiva. It's because one is stuck on forms. And so this is as long as this uncertainty about oneself is there, sarupadhihi atmani yavadasti, then this same projection is there with regard to the Jagat, with regard to Ishvara. Arupa Atma Yadi, if indeed the Atma is without form, Kaf Prapashyet, is there a seer of this Atma without form? No. Why? Because it is not subject to objectification. It's not an object, it's you. It shines as I, and it transcends all forms. Sa drishtihi eka, eka drishtihi. And then anavadhihi and purna drishtihi. So the drishti means vision. That vision is alone without a division. That vision alone is without division. That vision alone is something to be understood as I. And that vision is not of something in particular. Because if it is Arupa Atma, and so if I say I want to see Atma, what are you going to see? Whatever you see is Atma, non-separate from Atma. Whatever you hear is non-separate from Atma. Whatever you experience is non-separate from Atma. So there is nothing to see separately. And so it is a vision of no division. The word drishti is said only because there is this pradhanya, there is this preponderance of relying on the eyes a lot. That's why drishti is used. But it is a drishti without a drashta. Drashta means seer. It is a sight without a seer, and it is a vision without division. It is that reality which upholds the seer, seen, and sight, but it is neither the seer nor the seen nor sight, nor the manner of seeing. Sight means manner of seeing. None of them it is, because it upholds all of them without becoming any one of them. So from Sarupa to Arupa, this is the growth with the help of knowledge, of course. And then what happens? So sa drishtihi eka. Eka means indivisibly one. That drishti is indivisibly one. Anavadhihi, limitless. Purna. Purna means what? Without, complete, without lacking anything. Full, limitless, complete. Anavadhihi means timeless. Timeless, complete. Is this I? Timeless, complete, without a second. Is this I? Timeless, complete, without a second is Ishvara. Timeless, complete, and what should I say? Ever manifesting is this Jagat. So therefore, this Jiva Jagat Ishvara Bheda, the difference between the Jiva, Jagat and Ishvara is because of self-ignorance. There is a nice chain here. And that self-ignorance leads to some projections, subjective projections based on insecurity, etc. And then what? So that self-ignorance leads to subjective projections. Those subjective projections cut up the world into a series of finite objects to which I relate differentially, separately, one by one. And that relating differently, one by one, discreetly, to various objects is the cause of sorrow and fear. Because if I'm relating to one, the other one is left out. If I'm enjoying one, the other one is left out. And then there is sorrow, fear, and a sense of separateness, which was already there because of Atma Ajnanam, which is buttressed even now, which is exacerbated even now. And so therefore what? So therefore, this is what has to be dropped. It's a very nice, very sensitive topic, but a very nice verse where one is being gently encouraged to drop the fixation on Ishvara with a particular form, favorite form of Ishvara, etc. That is okay in the beginning, as one is learning, as one is growing. And then at some point, we have to be able to drop that form and see Ishvara as the truth of oneself. That is what the idea is. Next one. Yat panchakoshatmakamasti deham tadantara kim bhuvanam chakasti देहं विना पञ्चविधं तदेतत् पश्यन्ति के वा भुवनं भणन्तु यत् पञ्चकोशात्मकमस्ति देहं तदन्तरा किं भुवनं चकास्ति देहं विना पञ्चविधं तदेतत् पश्यन्ति के वा भुवनं भणन्तु. Deham. Deham means body. Here, even though the word deha is masculine, deha, but here it is used in a neuter sense. There is also generally masculine, but there is also a neuter sense. So deham, dehe, dehani, we have to take like phalam, phale, phalani. So deham singular. So this deham, this body, panchakoshatmakam, Panchakoshatmakam deham. So what is the body? The body is made up of the 5 elements. This elemented body, the body crafted, made up of the 5 elements. And then, not just the 5 elements, Kosha here means this body, not just the physical body, but the subtle body of various kinds, the sense of doership, the sense of, what is that called? Doership, and the sense of done-inship, bhokta, bhoktritva buddhi, kartritva buddhi, the mind, the prana, and the physical body. And all this is involved in this shariram, panchakoshatmakam shariram, fivefold body. And what is this fivefold body? The body is made up of these kinds of fivefold. Fivefold means the places where one makes the error that I am as good as this body. So there are 5 traps, potential traps, where one can get bogged down with the notion that I am as good as this form. These are the fivefold, what are they called? Koshas. Koshavat achhadakatvat koshaha. Fivefold koshas. Kosha means a scabbard where the sword is stored, a kind of a case for the sword, to keep the sword safely so that nobody gets hurt by it falling on someone or handling it wrongly. The sword is kept inside what is called a scabbard, and that is scabbard here is like a kosha. In other words, a covering. Covering for what? Atma? Can the Atma ever be covered? Hopefully you're saying no. Okay. So the Atma cannot ever be covered. So what do we say? The Atma is as though covering for the eye. And as though covering. Because if the covering were real, then there is another thing that can cover the Atma, which is equally real. Coverer and covered, 2 things. Then what happened to your Advaita? You can bid it goodbye. No Advaita, no non-duality at all. And so here, the covering is as though. And it is as though because it appears as a covering, and it's not really a covering. And I'll tell you what the it is. And so it is not really a covering. For example, the body is not really a covering, but appears as the covering because of one's misidentification with. So therefore, it becomes one place where the eye is not cognized and instead mistaken for the body. Understand? And so that is the first kosha. Annamaya. Annamaya kosha. Where the eye is taken to be as good as the body. Dehe pushte aham pushtaha. Dehe nashte aham nashtaha. If the body is strong, well nourished, well fed, I am strong, well nourished, well fed. If the body is destroyed or as good as destroyed, I am destroyed. This is the first kosha of misidentification. It is, it is important to note, it is not called Anna kosha. What is it called? Annamaya kosha. Maya here, the suffix maya means modification. Anna, food. So this body, I think everybody will agree, is a modification of the food. In fact, the food you eat is your medicine, really. And when that doesn't work for whatever reason, then you have to have medicine. And so therefore, this Annamaya Kosha means the body which is a modification of food. the food turns into liquid, and from that liquid, somehow miraculously, Bhagavan extracts all the nutrients. Some go to the brain, thank God, and keep us thinking properly. Some go to various other hands, legs, etc. Nourish them, make them strong. Nourish them, make them strong. And then some go to nourish the internal organs, and some nourish the blood. Like this is what the food kosha is called annamaya kosha, which leads one to think, I am as good as this body. This is what happened to Bhrigu, the son of Varuna. Went to his father. Varunam Pitaramupasasara. Went to his father. Adhihi Bhagavo Brahmeti Tasma Etat Provacha. Then he told him, he says, oh, please teach me about Brahma. Tapasa Brahma Vijijñāsasva. He says, I'm not going to give you a big lecture on unfolding Brahman. First, you have to show me that you have a clear mind. Go do some tapas and desire to know this Brahman through tapas. Find out what Brahman is. Sit quietly and see what answers come, and then I'll teach you. Go sit and contemplate on this. And then what? He went and contemplated. And then he came back with a wrong understanding. Annam brahmeti vyajanat. And then he said, annam brahma. Brahman is, food is Brahman. Must have been a foodie. Why? Annad vai khalu. It is because of this annam. Imani bhutani jayante. All these beings are there because of food. How is a child born? Because of the food the parents eat. How are the parents born? Because of the food the grandparents ate. Like this, everybody is, born because of food. Then if a child is born, it doesn't get food for 24 hours, it will be close to death. Because why? It is sustained by food. And then after one dies away, what happens? Then they are either interred under the ground, or they are cremated, and the ashes are scattered on the ground, let us say. And then what? There an eggplant grows, and the next generation eats that eggplant. In other words, we are eating our ancestors' remains. So, great, 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 great grandparents. Organic, okay, yeah. And so, new definition of organic food. And he thought, oh, I found it. And who knew Brahman is so easy? Wonderful. I got it. I got it. I got it, Dad. I got it. What? Annam Brahma. Food is Brahman. Because without food, we'll all die. We came from food. We go back to food. We go back to becoming food. And then in the middle of coming from food and going back to food, what is happening? We are being sustained by food. Food is Brahman. And then what? Varuna is not impressed. He says, go, go, do some more tapas. This is the wrong answer. Go do some more tapas. Go, you need a little more sadhana, even to understand this, even to be on the right track. And because you think too much about food, that's why this answer came. What else will come? All the time you're thinking, what will I have for the next meal? This is the answer that will come. The brain cells are full of food, thought wise. And so the food thought leads to this kind of answer, go back. And then he kind of flubs 4 or 5 times and then finally understands it. And so This is the first kosha, Annamaya kosha. Mayat vikararthe, meaning it is in the form of transformation, modification of food. And so this is the first place of error. I am as good as the body. I am as good as what I eat. I am the sum total of my body. Annamaya kosha. Then the next one, the next locus of error is connected to prana, breathing, respiration, and all other vital functions of the body. Oh no, 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 no. If I can't breathe, I'm going to die, I'm going to die, I'm going to die because I'm dependent upon the breath. The body is dependent upon the breath to be alive. You are not dependent upon the breath. This is the idea. But here there's an identification with the prana. It happens even in meditation. In meditation, you're saying the mantra, and then what? Very soon, what happens is that the mantra starts to ride on the breath. We'll practice this tomorrow. The mantra starts to ride on the breath. I inhale Om Namah Shivaya. I exhale Om Namah Shivaya. I inhale Om Namah Shivaya. I exhale Om Namah Shivaya. Oh, but that sounds wonderful. Why can't I do that? If you ask, it sounds wonderful. But then it underscores the dependency on the breathing. In meditation, we want to separate that. We want to be in the place of witness and not just keep on, depending upon on the breath, having this dependency. The body is dependent, but the I that we seek to know in and through in and through verses like this and texts like the Saddarshanam, etc., other Vedantic texts, is not something that is needing to breathe. It is not something that it had the first breath and it came to life. No. And then it's going to die if it is separated from oxygen source. No. And so what is it now? What it is very, very, it's just wonderful. So therefore, in the chanting of the mantra, you don't become complacent and allow the mantra to ride the breath. So how do I know I'm riding, the mantra is riding on the breath? You continue chanting the mantra, but then you quicken the breathing. You breathe fast, fast, faster, faster, faster. And if the mantra also speeds up, that means the mantra was riding on the breath. Then you know, okay. I have to disconnect it from the breath. And so this is pranamaya kosha, where one feels like one is dependent upon the breath, upon all these involuntary functions, the vital airs, all these prana, apana, udana, all these things. And so therefore, this is, this is another mistake, a place where the I is cognized. This is a locus of error. This is yet one more landmine for the ignorant I, to keep it safely in the parameters of this ignorance. One more place. And so then one more area. Then after that, manomaya. Manaha means the shallow mind. What is the shallow mind? Should I do this? No, 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 I shouldn't do this. Should I not do this? No, 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 I think I should do this. This is the surface level of the mind. And if you think you're as good as the mind, if you're convinced, then you're taken for a ride all the time. Yes, no, maybe, maybe not. Yes, no, maybe, maybe not. Very difficult to go like this. Then Vijnanamaya. Vijnanamaya, another place of error, another locus of error, making a mistake with regard to the I as the doer karta. Vijnanam yajnantanute karmani tanute picha. So what is this Vijnana? Vijnana keeps on offering ghee into the fire. It's the doer. This is what is called Vaidika karma. It's the doer of Vaidika karma. Then what else? Laukika karma. Karmani tanute picha. And so here, the addiction to doing and the crafting of one's identity as an agent of action all the time, and being convinced that I am the doer, is a very big pitfall. The fourth pitfall. Fifth pitfall is called Anandamaya Kosha. The fifth locus of error is Anandamaya Kosha. And what is Anandamaya Kosha? The feeling that I am a bhokta, the identification with the experiencer. Of course, the identification is very strong when it's the experiencer of Ananda. And so that's why it's called Anandamaya, a modification of this Ananda. It is not separate from Brahmananda. Everything is Brahmananda. Brahmananda is not any one particular Ananda. That is what has to be understood, and that is another pitfall. Why not take this Anandamaya as Ananda itself? Well, that's what some writers did that. Some ancient writers did that, especially Bhamati Kara. Bhamati is a, is a treatise on the Brahma Sutra. More about that tomorrow. There is a story about that as well. So this Bhamati Kara, the Vachaspati Mishra, he thought this Anandamaya is itself Ananda. But that's not correct. Adi Shankara corrects that. And there is a sutra in the Brahma Sutra, Anandamayo Abhyasat. Abhyasat means in the Taittiriya Upanishad, the Anandamaya comes twice. First as Anandamaya and then as Ananda. So then we know that this one is a trap. The other one is your Swarupa. This one is a place where one can fall in the quicksand of Bhoktritva Buddhi. And so these are the five. Panchakoshatmakam Shariram. No, not Shariram. What is it? Deham. And so so what about this fivefold, the fivefold, this body known in this fivefold way as a modification of food, as a modification of the mind, of the doer, of what is this, conglomeration of the one who has eaten the food, the one who's endowed with the mind, endowed with kartritva buddhi, bhoktritva buddhi. What about this person? Well, upon this person's vision and upon this body depends your impression of the Jagat. Upon this body depends the cognition of this Jagat. Upon this five kosha body depends the cognition of the Jagat, and therefore it is said, Tadantara, Deham Antara, Bhuvanam Kim Chakasti, Chakasra Deeptau. This is the, what is that, Dhatu, Chakasra, to shine. Oh, but I've never heard of this. Yes, you have. Whenever you say the word Prakasha, that's from Chakasra. Deeptau, Kash, Kashate, Chakasti. So Kash and all this is that dhatu. So Tadantara kim bhuvanam chakasti. Does the world shine? Does the world exist? Does the world appear without this body mind sense complex? This beautifully crafted body mind sense complex of the five elements modified into food, etc., 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 modified into the mind, modified into the sense of doership, sense of enjoyership, experiencership. Does the world shine? Does the world appear? Does the world even exist? We'll find out tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ। Thank you.
Thank you, Amma.
Thank you. Thank you.